Friday, everybody. I'm Ann Birchard. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and today we are going to make this pretty card. We're going to use a couple of techniques, a little emboss resist, some masking, and creating a galaxy. So let's make a card. Let's set this aside. I'm going to bring in my Stamparatus, and we're going to be using silhouette scenes, and we're going to be using this little kid pointing up. For me, pointing up to the stars. So let me switch this around. I'm going to be using Whisper White cardstock. I have cut it at 5.5 and 4 1/4, but later on I'm going to trim it down a bit, and I'll give you those dimensions here. First, we're going to start off with the embossing buddy. It's kind of like a talcum powder, and that prevents the embossing powder sticking to where you don't want it. Now I'm going to show you a trick. We are going to emboss using Versamark, but we're also going to color it first. So the first step is Versamark onto your stamp. Make sure it's nice and covered. Set that aside. And now come in with Memento black ink. You can use this technique using any of your stamping pads, and they will not ruin it. I learned this technique from Michelle Zindorf. Head over to her YouTube channel. And I also took a couple of classes with her. She's a phenomenal artist, just phenomenal. So now that I have the Versamark first, then the Tuxedo black ink, let's stamp. Give it some CPR because we want a good coverage. Oh, fantastic. Now I have my clear embossing powder in this tub because I use a lot of it. And it's so simple for me to just scoop the cardstock inside, flick it off, and we're done. So give me a minute. I'll be right back. I'm gonna go heat this with my heat tool. All right, and through the magic of video editing, I am back. I've heat embossed the embossing powder so it's nice and smooth. Now, I've showed you this before. This is the Avery removable ID label. This is fantastic for masking. So before we put the mask on, let me set that aside. I want to take smoky slate and a sponge and go all over in the area of where my moon is going to be. And you'll see why here in a bit. Don't worry about being smooth, because what we're doing is we're creating craters on the moon. And we'll fill this in just so it all has the same base. And that looks great. Close this up, or I'll put my finger in it. Now bring in our mask, and I want her arm to be in the light of the moon, if you will. There you go. Now, if you don't have the Avery labels, you can always use your Tombow Mono liquid glue. You put just a couple of dabs on it, smooth it out with your finger, and let it dry a bit. And that's going to create a temporary adhering. One more time. Create a temporary adhesive, and it won't ruin your project. So now that we have that covered, let's come in with, move all this aside, let's come in with Magenta Madness, Bumblebee, and Gorgeous Grape. I'm going to be using sponge daubers, and I'm going to be creating the galaxy in the background. So I know this goes against everything that I do, but I'm going to open these up because I'll be going back and forth between them. So I'm going to start off with the Gorgeous Grape, Marvelous Magenta, and just start putting splotches down. No rhyme or reason. Light, dark, big, small, it does not matter. Because afterwards we are going to cover it up. Let's come in with our bumblebee. That's okay if you go over, because that's what you want. It's going to help create this look. My friend Melissa did this card and sent it off to one of our astronauts for his birthday. And she took the rhinestones and she made it into, I believe it was Orion, the constellation. I don't have that kind of time, but it looked gorgeous. And the astronaut, I'm forgetting his name, sent a thank you note to Melissa and her Boy Scout troop for thinking of him on his birthday. I just combined that in the wrong color. Don't care, keep going. More yellow. Yellow down here. Let's go back, more purple. I'm coloring as fast as I can so as not to bore you all. A little more purple here. And let's come back in with the magenta. Now the great thing with these sponge daubers, just go run it under water and you're ready for another color. It will stain, but it will not affect the coloring. Just make sure you rinse it off well and let it dry. Let's give this guy, blend him in a bit. I'm gonna call that good. So let me close this up. Set these aside, and now I'm going to bring in Night of Navy. Now this technique I learned from Michelle Zindorf, like I said, and that's the brayering. When you brayer and you're loading up the ink to the brayer, go in one direction, whether away from you or toward you, it doesn't matter, but as long as you go in the same direction. So I push forward, lift up, push forward, lift up, and load that brayer up. Now with your card, you're going to start off your project and then work on. You can change directions when you get off your project. So start off and then keep brayering. Keep going, bringing it all the way down. Again, load up. And you can do this with the sponge daubers, with the sponge rollers as well. And sorry for the shaking desk. Yes, I started in the middle because this is a lot of coverage and I don't mind the lines. But I start off the project and keep working down. I'm going to flip it. Sorry. Keep working it. You can also leave white spaces in your galaxy, but we're going to add some stars. If you don't have a sponge roller or a brayer, you can easily use a sponge as well. And you just want to cover the entire front of this card. A little bit more. And yes, your hands are going to get inky. If I haven't mentioned, text ANNBIRCHARD, all one word, to the number 2828, and I'll get you on my mailing list. I send out tips, tricks, techniques, and any specials that Stampin' Up! Is having. Would love to have you on the mailing list. And a little bit more. And then we can call it quits. I'm good with that. Now when you're finished with your roller, don't let it sit on the roller. Always store it on the back side. Otherwise you'll get a flat tire. And your project will have funny lines in it. Okay, let's set that aside. See? Nice and inky. Gotta love it. Okay, set this aside. Next we're gonna come in with some acrylic paint. And I got this at my local hobby store. Shake it up. And I'm gonna just put a drop on my acrylic block. I'm gonna bring in my aqua painter. Add some water. Mix it up. And I'm gonna flick. Those are some big stars. It's okay. That's why we have paper towels. There, I'm good with that. And my paper towel. And you just have to come back in, just dab it. That's all you got to do. Whoa, that's not good. I've got everything everywhere. Clean this up because I will put my finger in it if I don't. Dab a little bit more. We'll call that good. Then I came in with my Wink of Stella. I should buy bulk of this stuff. I use so much of it. And I'm just going to scribble. Give it a little shine. The appearance of more stars. Pretty little background. Okay. Think we're done. Time for the reveal. I'm using the Take Your Pick, and I'm going to use the spatula end to lift off my mask of the moon. Oh, the unveil. Go easy. Nice and gentle. There we go. Oh, what do you think? I like it. I think we're gonna add just a little bit more of the gray. Ah, perfect. Let's bring in our Stamparatus again. We take her off. Place her in the corner. And I'm going to stamp the sentiment, "Go confidently in the direction of your dreams" by Thoreau. And let's make sure this is lined up. Why am I using my Stamparatus? Well, we spent a lot of time working on our galaxy. And if I don't stamp this straight or with enough pressure the first time, I can come back because I haven't moved anything out of the Stamparatus. Love that. So I'm just going to be using the Tuxedo black ink. And some CPR. And now massage. Oh, love it. Done. Okay, let's wipe this off. My chamois. Set this aside. I'm going to bring in my trimmer. And I'm going to take this down to 3 3/4 by 5. Yep. And this will give a nice pretty border on the card front. Set this aside. I'm going to be using Gorgeous Grape for the background. So I've cut it at 5 1/2. You can score it 4 1/4 or just fold it in half. Bring in your bone folder. I don't see mine, there it is. Bring in your bone folder, give it a nice crease. And then I'm going to use the black Stampin' Dimensionals for the back of our, oops, oh, that's gonna make life easy. This is going to be a longer video, but I'm making up for last week's because that was only 4 minutes long. And one more will work. Okay, set this aside. Come in with the take your pick. Flip it over for the piercing tool, and these will pop right off. Set that aside. All right. Make sure it's the right way. And center it. Nice and straight. Press. We need more bling. Bring in our rhinestones and let's give us some stars. Like I said, Melissa made, I'm pretty sure it was Orion. I don't have that kind of time. But it was gorgeous. Remember, odd numbers? And I think just one more. I think, but you never know. Ah, it needs more. Needs more cowbell. Go ahead and comment if you know what that pop culture reference is for. Last one. I'm tucking the glue. Does not want to behave. There we go. Ta-da! All done. Send it off to somebody who needs a little boost in their confidence. I think they'll love it. Well, don't forget to subscribe. Please make a comment, share, like, and make sure to subscribe if I didn't say that. And I will see you next week with another card. Thank you so much. Bye.